Hello, this is Erin with the Joy in Pens and Paper, and it's time to start a new month. So, March, I leaned into the greens. That was my plan, and I found as the month went on, I wasn't um, really in love with my writing experiences. I kind of did some reflecting and realized January I also did all greens. And um, so I probably just needed something brighter, poppier to look at. And so as I thought about going into April and I flipped through my ink swatch book to see what inks really popped out at me, I made sure that I didn't have any thoughts in my mind of April as a season or April as a theme or any holidays. I just chose inks that I wanted to write with, and I also did not think about matching inks to pen bodies or anything like that. And then I thought about what pens I wanted to write with. And so we have this collection right here. One thing I will kind of chuckle at it's a whole lot of white and clear with gold. So I definitely, and I know this, I have an aesthetic. These look beautiful to me, and I want to write with beautiful pens. So um, this is my April. I did also do some swatching on some different papers. So once I swatch this all out, I will um, bring out the other papers that I swatched on, and y'all can take a peek at that with me and see what differences we find. So this is a Galen Leather Co. Everyday Notebook with 52-gram Tomei River paper. And this is what I have been doing my monthly swatching in most months. There was one weird month that I didn't, and I also just have some general swatches in here as well. I love looking through other creators when they finish a notebook and seeing them flip through. I'd be happy to do that. I don't necessarily think that there's much special in here, but it is a walk down memory lane, I suppose. And I think once this book is finished up, which might be in a year, 2 years, I'm not sure. My next one, I definitely want to be a little bit more thoughtful so that it's a little bit more of a piece of art when it's done, perhaps. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom in a little bit and we will get to swatching. I am somebody that writes on an angle, so I'm going to turn this a bit. So the first pen that and I actually, when I mapped out what pens, I was thinking I would use my white with rose gold TWSBI Eco, but then I saw this one and I remembered that I had bought this as a replacement for one that it broke in the body here. So I was able to keep the nib from the other one, and I loved the nib from my first one. And so when I got the replacement, I got a size up in the nib. So now I have options. And I did something for the first time. I swapped out a nib. So this has a fine nib. And this particular pen, you can get this on the Galen Leather Co. website. It's a collaboration between Noveler and Galen Leather Co. And I think this is the Noveler Classic. Because I'm not 100% sure, I'm not going to write that. I'm just going to write Noveler and Galen Leather Co. And it has a fine nib. And this ink is Ferris Wheel Press Adventurine. Now, in the summer of 2022, I was heavy in the wormhole of YouTube and looking at what people were swatching, and so many people were um, swatching Ferris wheel press inks. They still are, but that summer, Roaring Patina Black was, or actually it might have been the spring, but Roaring Patina Black was really impactful and shown on a lot of creators' channels, as I bought a bottle of that. And then there was Adventurine, and then there was Blooming Mushroom. But Aventurine, I love my grays, and this is a gray with a little bit of a green hint to it, and this beautiful rose gold shimmer. And I got it at the same time as I got the Ferris wheel press brush pen, and was so sad that it didn't write very well. And I contacted Ferris wheel press, and they informed me that they don't recommend shimmers in their fine nibs. That's fine. But I don't know that I've ever inked it up again. So I really wanted to use that. And it's such a beautiful color. It is very light, but for the purposes that I will be using it for, I'm okay with that. All right, so this next one is a carryover from this past month. And I really should not talk while I'm doing that swatch because I love the sound of the pen on the paper. You might as well. So for the next couple, I won't talk. And this is the Opus 88 in Halo Blue. And I picked this up at Yosaka Stationery in Brooklyn when I went a few weekends ago, along with the ink that's inside. And a viewer gave me a pro tip on this pen that they actually, so because this is an eyedropper and it has the plunger seal, when you close the cap, when you screw the cap tight, the plunger obviously cuts off the ink from the feed. And they reminded me, thank you for the reminder, that that's why these pens can be really great for traveling. You can bring these on an airplane and not worry about burping into the cap or leaking, because you can close the plunger and you're not getting any ink into the feed and the nib. And they said that they keep theirs unscrewed at all times, and that's how they get the juiciest writing experience. So I have been doing that the last couple of days, and it's been phenomenal. So thank you for that tip. I really appreciated it. And it's good because I've been using this in my 5-year, because the pen and ink combination that I started with in the 5-year ran out before the month ended. So it's been staying on my dining room table because we, as a family, talk about our memories of the day at dinner. Okay, so the ink is Yosaka Ceramics. Tangmise Blue. Love this ink. It is gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. All right, the next one, and this was a sample sent to me from a viewer. That is not an ink that I necessarily would have chosen if I'm browsing on a website, but it's beautiful. And I really needed kind of some brightness for this month. So this is the Platinum Century 3776. This was my birthday gift to myself this past year. And this is a fine nib. It is a 14 karat gold nib. And the ink is Pilot Iroshizuku Yamabudo. It is a beautifully bright color, which I thought would go really, really well with this nib. Even though it's a fine, it is a Japanese fine, so it's more equivalent to an extra fine. All right, sticking with that needed pop of color, I have yet to put this ink into a pen, and I'm feeling remiss about that, so I'm going to go ahead and dive in. And I said I wasn't going to talk during the little swatch patch, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm so sorry. So this is the Esterbrook SD. It's a limited edition winter white with an extra fine nib. And this is the Waringal Heimdall. Beautiful orange, little bit of a yellow undertone. Lovely, lovely, lovely color. And so the next ink is that Ferris Wheel Press brush pen that I referenced earlier. I love this. It just is the epitome of classic. It is my thinnest pen. I mean, I have a teal Ferris Wheel Press brush pen with a gold-plated nib. I will tell you I prefer the steel nib over the gold-plated nib. That's my personal preference. You do you. But I would not buy another gold-plated, and the price point of those is a little bit higher. This is a fine nib. Ferris Wheel Press, as with all their products, their packaging, their presentation is absolutely gorgeous. The section of the nib has beautiful, beautiful etching in it. I mean, really beautiful. And foolishly, it took me a embarrassingly long period of time to figure this out, but you find the size of the nib right there. Super embarrassed that it took me as long as it did to figure that out. I have known for a while, to be clear. I didn't just figure that out, 2 years later, but it definitely took me over a year. So this is inked up with Robert Oster Fire and Ice. This is one of my first, I say one of my first, it might have been my third or fourth bottle of ink that I ever purchased. I think fourth. And it was one that at that time, this was, I don't know, 2018, 2016-ish. It was really popular on YouTube, and this has just the tiniest little bit of red shading. It's like this hint of red shading, and it's lovely and beautiful, and such a joy. The next pen I have been missing, this little beauty, this little gift right here. I love this pen. I love how pretty it is. I love how it writes. I just adore this pen. And again, as I went through March, I realized I need to be writing with my Pelikan M400. And this is inked up with Diamine. Brandy Snap. I think I'm really going to like this combination a lot this month. I'm very excited about it. I may even use this one for my Hobonichi 5-year. I think that's going to be the one. And then this last one, and this is a newer pen. This was my Christmas gift this year. This is the Pelikan M600. And I always like to talk about this because this is a very expensive pen. I think it's $660, $680. I did not pay nearly that. Um, my purchase price was in the 300s, and I thought that was ridiculous. All of my really, really expensive pens have been purchased on a sale. Yeah, I morally cannot bring myself to spend, $400 or $500 on a pen. But uh, not only was this on sale, but I had been informed that my federal student loans were forgiven. I had my month's payment already set aside and didn't have to allocate it to that bill anymore. And so my husband and I talked, and between that and my Christmas money, this is what my gift was. And this is inked up with J. Urban, or it might be Jacques Urban, and I apologize if I'm getting it wrong. But this is the 1670 line, and it's the Stormy Gray. This is a dark, dark gray. Almost looks black, especially in writing, but you can see here it's definitely on the grayer side with a gold shimmer. And I did a partial agitation of the bottle. So it's not going to be very shimmer heavy, but I can see just a little bit in the swatch. I don't even know if it's enough that the camera will pick it up, but it will just have a little bit of shimmer, and this is what I will use in my planner. Because in that one I'm sticking with black and gray this year. All right, so this is the Galen Leather Co. Everyday Notebook Tomoe River paper. And this is I'm fairly certain this is the old Tomoe River paper. And then this is the Sanzen Tomoe River. This is the new Tomoe River paper. And to me, the swatches look exceptionally similar. I think the Robert Oster River Fire and Ice, is a little bit poppier in the Sanzen than in the old Tomoe River, but no major differences. And then I have, next up, this is also a Galen Leather Co. Everyday Notebook, and it's Cosmo Air Light. Oops. Let me organize myself. Goodness gracious. All right, so as I'm looking at this, and what I consistently find myself commenting on between Tomoe River and Cosmo Air Light is the ink looks smoother on the Cosmo Air Light, so you're not seeing as many of the distinct brush strokes. It's almost like the ink is spreading a little bit on the paper, and so from pen stroke to pen stroke, it's that little bit of spread gives this cohesive look to it. So great example, the Wearingeul Heimdall, you can see gaps in the swatch, and you're not really seeing those here on the Cosmo Air Light. And I'm just looking really quickly. I don't necessarily see any other significant differences. There's a potential this looks a little different just because I had newly flat washed and flushed the pen and inked it up, and so there might have been a little bit of water um, that was still in the feed. Now the other paper that I'll bring over is a Rhodia. Now this is tough because the Rhodia has a grid. Apologies for the chaos that might make you feel. But looking at these, the Yoseka Ceramic Tang Me Say Blue looks darker on the Rhodia paper. Yeah, not too much different, which is great. I do have a cream colored paper that I thought about also swatching, but I wasn't sure if that would be valuable. So if that's something that you would like to see in future currently inked months, please let me know. I'd be happy to oblige. And with that, I am going to go ahead and wish you a wonderful month of writing in this first full month of spring. And I think my husband may have made a fire, so I'm going to go enjoy that. Bye.